He's got a voice like a girl. I really can't thank our whole team here enough. This wasn't just done by the four of us. We're a bunch of spoiled fucking brats, let's say that much.
This steam whistle sure is delicious.
Our visual crew for the night comprised of myself running the A camera, Kenny Wong, who is a friend who is part of a group here in Toronto called Heartstrings TV, and we've worked on several projects together. He was running the B cam, and Sandy James, who was my intern for most of 2014, who also helped out with the production on 11/11, he was running the C cam. Those three cameras were what we sort of lean heavily on.
I'll give you $1.50.
Tax,
Greg Hodowanski, who was my lighting director on my very first music video with Goodnight Sunrise, he came back, he brought in all his lighting rigs, and sort of flooded the entire stage in blues and reds and whites, and that sort of combined into this kind of shifting aesthetic that would occasionally drift into purple. And so when you watch the film, you'll see this purple kind of thread through everything, and it's kind of just that blending of the reds and blues that ultimately are like the core colors of the paint aesthetic.
As a band that is pretty open about its politics and its sort of feminist leanings as well, it was very fitting that Victoria Wicks was doing front of house sound and produced the audio. She was in the process of developing this production company of all female sound engineers in Toronto, who would basically just take over the city, and this was kind of the first project of that undertaking. She and I go way back and just know each other very well, and she had started doing dedicated front of house sound at a lot of paint shows, and I think was able to capture us and have us come across in the live setting in a way that no one else really seemed to be able to. She just instinctively got us. So it just made sense to keep this whole thing within the family when it was time to do this album and to have her take the producer's chair.
How much of your guitar do you need in your water?
1 amp or less than
0.
Awesome. I love that. And Rob, just acoustic, right?
Yeah, I don't need any electric.
Perfect.
Can't wait to hear this, man.
And Victoria also had done a lot of work at the Trevis Institute in Toronto, so she just did like this open call for students in their audio video production program, and then we just had this giant crew that showed up that night and was setting up the backdrops and the microphones and working with the B cameras and everything. It was pretty cool. Kind of felt like rock stars for the night.
It's great because we didn't have to do anything.
That's total bullshit. We just got to get more frustrated about the things that we did have to do.
We're having mic stand issues. It's hitting our bass player in the face. Can someone...
Yes.
Okay.
He's on it.
I just work here.
You're also.
Once I have the solutions, I just ask someone.
That's how you need to go.
Thank you for acknowledging that. You want to join the band?
Yes. Do you want to pay me?
It's 2014. You think musicians make money?
And Chris Sampson was a friend from the old Rancho Relaxo crew, who I'd known for a while, but I had no idea that he did this like mobile live recording thing. And he was recommended by Jimmy Kane from Champion Lover, who's a really great friend of ours and one of the best bands in the city. And pretty much anything Jimmy says, I'll believe. And he said Sampson was great, and proved true to his word.
If we don't have any more short stands, I'd rather clip that onto the snare. Yeah. I'll just use that as a snare. That would be 14. Is track wet? Oh, on the very end? Okay.
Sampson brought in just this, I don't even have the technological understanding to know what it was. It was just this giant like rack and this mobile Pro Tools rig that he just takes with him remotely to live shows and records them. So everything was basically feeding off of Victoria's live mix at the front of house, and then just routing back through his rig, and that's pretty much how we captured the audio that night.
Hey, Rob, just a little bit more.
Brian Worsley had mixed Paint's first record, Can You Hear Me? And we went way back many years ago. He played in a Vancouver band called Don Treader, who I was a big fan of and then briefly managed for a while. And we played in Paper Moon together, and we just have a long history. And it felt like if anybody could take a very cheaply, quickly recorded thing and make it sound as huge as it needed to be, he would be the guy. And he'd also been basically stalking me for about the last 5 years, saying, hey, when can I work with Paint again? The album was mastered by Andre Sosa, who's a friend of ours in town that we shared a rehearsal space with for quite a while. And he just opened his new mastering studio, and he seemed to really gel pretty well with us. I found that the session, I only spent one session with him briefly, because it's usually best in mixing and mastering that the artist just have a clear vision of what they want and can communicate that, and then you leave the room and let the person do their job. Because nothing's worse than you sitting there trying to mix a record and you got 4 different people standing over your shoulder going, turn up the bass, turn up the guitar, the vocal's not loud enough. So we tend to get great results by just letting people have their autonomy and do their thing. And the one session I spent with Andre was great. It actually felt like when you and I worked together, we just sort of instinctually seemed to be on the same page, that I was hearing something going, I was kind of thinking this, and he said, yeah, I was hearing the same thing, except what about this? And then boom, he would drop it in, and it was awesome. And then we had these weird moments of synchronicity too with him, where it's like he posted a little Instagram video of him mastering the bridge section in Bonfire. And the second that he posted that, I was actually sitting at home watching the rough edit of Bonfire in that exact section. So I told him, I was like, welcome to Planet Paint, where everything is random, but seemingly not to the point where you are afraid to go. Someone's in the house.